The arena was built to make fear grow. Its walls were tall and curved inward, so nothing inside ever felt like it could escape. The stone floor was cracked and dark, soaked by years of blood that never fully washed away. Above, rows of metal platforms circled the pit, packed with predators from dozens of worlds. Claws scraped metal, teeth clicked, heavy bodies shifted with impatient hunger. They had come for a show. They had come to watch a human die. At the center of the arena stood a single man. His name was Jonah Hale. He was not tall, not armored, not impressive by alien standards. His shoulders were narrow, his clothes plain and worn. His hands were empty. His head was slightly bowed, his eyes fixed on the ground in front of his boots. He never looked up. Laughter rolled through the stands. A human. They sent this. He doesn't even know where he is. Jonah heard them. He understood enough of their language to know what they were saying. But he didn't react. His breathing was slow, controlled, in and out, in and out. The guards had shoved him into the pit only minutes ago. No explanation, no weapons, just a short sentence spoken in broken trade speech. Survive if you can. Jonah didn't ask how long, he didn't ask why. He already knew. Humans had been used in these arenas for years, thrown in as prey, entertainment, proof that the predators who ruled this part of space were stronger, faster, superior. Most humans screamed. Most begged. Most died quickly. Jonah did none of those things. He stood still. And slowly, almost without realizing it, the predators began to notice something was wrong. It wasn't fear, they knew fear. Fear was loud, fear shook and cried and ran. This human was quiet. Too quiet. A massive reptilian predator leaned forward, claws resting on the railing. Its eyes narrowed. Why isn't he looking at us? Another shifted beside it, spreading its stance without meaning to. I don't like it. Jonah still hadn't moved. The arena horn sounded, low, deep, final. The first gate opened. Something heavy stepped into the light. It was called a bracken, a creature bred for close combat. Thick muscle wrapped in layered hide. A mouth full of blunt teeth meant to crush bones. It rolled its shoulders as it entered, confident, relaxed. It had killed dozens here. The bracken looked down at Jonah and laughed. Look at me, little thing, it growled. Jonah didn't respond. Didn't look up. The bracken's smile faded just a little. The signal light flashed. The fight began. The bracken charged. The ground shook as it ran, every step meant to terrify. Its arm drew back, ready to swing hard enough to break stone. Jonah waited. At the last possible moment, he moved. Not fast, not flashy. Just enough. He stepped sideways. The blow missed. The bracken staggered, confused by the empty space where the human should have been. Jonah struck once, short, sharp, precise, behind the knee. The bracken stumbled. Before it could recover, Jonah struck again, higher this time. A nerve point, a joint, something humans had learned through centuries of fighting things bigger than themselves. The bracken fell with a thunderous crash. It wasn't dead, but it wasn't getting up. The arena went silent. Jonah stepped back to where he had been standing before. Head down, eyes on the ground. The predators did not cheer. They shifted. One by one, without speaking, they adjusted how they stood. Feet wider, bodies lower, tails still. They didn't understand why. Only that something had changed. The bracken tried to rise, failed, growled in confusion and pain. Jonah did not finish it. He didn't need to. Another gate opened. This time, two predators entered together. Fast ones, lean, sharp, built for teamwork. They spread out, circling Jonah. One hissed softly, trying to draw his eyes upward. The other moved to his blind side. Jonah stayed still. The first predator lunged. Jonah moved again. A step, a turn, a shoulder into ribs that weren't expecting resistance. The second predator attacked from behind and hit its partner instead. Claws sank into alien flesh. Screams echoed. Jonah struck once more, then again. When it ended, one predator crawled away. The other lay still, breathing but broken. Jonah returned to the center. The crowd no longer laughed. They watched. The arena master, a towering figure wrapped in ceremonial armor, leaned forward. Its voice carried across the pit. "Who are you, human?" Jonah answered without lifting his head. "Someone who learned early," he said quietly. "That looking afraid only makes things worse." The arena master said nothing. Another gate began to rise. Bigger this time. Heavier. The predators leaned forward again, but now their hunger was mixed with something new. "Caution." Jonah rolled his shoulders once, just once. His hands remained empty. His head remained down. And every predator in the arena adjusted their stance again, fully aware now that this human was not prey. Not anymore. And the real test hadn't even begun yet. The second gate rose slowly, metal grinding against metal, louder than before. The sound echoed through the arena, heavy and deliberate, like a warning. Jonah Hale did not look at it. He kept his eyes on the cracked stone floor, counting his breaths. In. Out. The predators noticed. They always noticed now. Two figures stepped into the light. These were not beasts thrown in for spectacle. These were hunters, trained, intelligent. Their bodies were lean and long, their movements smooth and controlled. Bladed armor covered their chests and arms. Their eyes never left Jonah. They did not laugh. They spread out, creating distance between each other, forming angles. They had learned from the last fight. They were already adjusting. Jonah felt it without seeing it. The way the air shifted. The way footsteps stopped being careless. He still didn't look up. One of the hunters spoke, voice low and sharp. "He's pretending to be weak." The other answered, "No, he's waiting." The signal horn sounded again. This time no one cheered. The hunters moved together. Fast, silent, coordinated. Jonah stepped forward instead of back. That alone caused hesitation. Just a fraction of a second. But a fraction was enough. The first hunter slashed low, aiming for Jonah's legs. Jonah twisted, letting the blade skim fabric instead of flesh. He grabbed the hunter's wrist, not with strength, but with timing, and pulled. The hunter stumbled. The second hunter attacked immediately, blade flashing toward Jonah's throat. Jonah ducked. The blade passed over his head. He felt the wind of it. He stepped inside the hunter's reach, close enough to smell the metal on its armor. His elbow struck once, hard, precise. The hunter gasped, stumbling back. The first hunter recovered quickly and lunged again. Jonah dropped to one knee, letting the attack pass above him, then swept a foot out from under the hunter's stance. The hunter hit the ground hard. The arena erupted, not with cheers but with shocked noise. Growls, clicks, sharp breaths. These weren't clumsy predators. These were professionals. And they were struggling. Jonah rose smoothly, calmly. Still not looking up. The grounded hunter rolled away, trying to regain distance. The other hunter circled, breathing harder now, eyes locked on Jonah's shoulders, his hands, his feet, any movement that might signal an attack. But Jonah gave nothing away. He stood, waited. The second hunter made a mistake. It rushed. Jonah moved first. He stepped forward and sideways, slipping past the attack instead of away from it. He struck the hunter's arm at the joint. The blade fell from nerveless fingers. Jonah kicked it aside without looking. The hunter froze. Jonah's hand rested lightly on its chest armor. Just for a second. Then he shoved. The hunter crashed into the wall, armor cracking, breath leaving its lungs in a broken wheeze. Silence spread again. The first hunter, still on the ground, tried to rise. Its movements were slower now, cautious. Fear had entered the fight. Jonah walked toward it. Slow steps, measured. The hunter backed away on hands and feet, eyes wide. "Stop," it hissed. "You win." Jonah stopped. He did not finish it. He stepped back again to the center of the arena. The hunters were dragged away by guards, broken, alive. That mattered. The predators above shifted again, this time openly. Some leaned back uneasy. Some leaned forward, studying Jonah like a puzzle they didn't like. Some were silent in a way predators rarely were. The arena master stood. Its armor caught the light as it looked down at Jonah. "You do not fight like prey," it said. Jonah answered quietly, "I never was." Murmurs rippled through the stands. Another predator hissed, "Then what is he?" The arena master did not answer. Another gate began to open. This one was larger than all the others so far. Thicker, reinforced. Jonah felt the vibration through the stone beneath his feet. He inhaled slowly. Pain was beginning to settle in now. His knuckles throbbed. His leg ached where a blade had grazed him. Blood soaked into his sleeve from a shallow cut. He ignored it. Pain was familiar. Fear was not. The creature that emerged was massive, taller than the bracken, broader than the hunters combined. Heavy muscle rolled under thick, scarred hide. Its eyes were old, experienced. This one did not rush. It studied Jonah carefully. "You're human," it rumbled, "but you don't fight like one." Jonah finally lifted his head just enough to speak, not enough to meet its eyes. "I fight like someone who learned," he said. "That strength doesn't mean much if you don't know how to use it." The creature tilted its head. "You're tired." "Yes." "You're hurt." "Yes." "Good." It charged. This time, Jonah was driven backward. The blow caught his shoulder, slamming him into the stone. Pain exploded through his arm. He gritted his teeth and rolled away as the ground cracked where his head had been. The crowd roared. The predator pressed the attack, relentless, heavy strikes forcing Jonah to keep moving. Jonah ducked, rolled, blocked what he could, but the power difference was real. For the first time, Jonah staggered. A growl rose from the stands. But Jonah did not fall. He planted his feet. The next strike came. Jonah stepped into it. He took the hit on purpose, absorbing it, redirecting it, grabbing hold of the predator's arm. The impact sent pain screaming through his body, but he didn't let go. He twisted. Hard. The predator roared as its balance broke. Jonah struck once deep into the side, then again lower, then shoved. The predator fell to one knee. Shock rippled through the arena. Jonah stepped back, breathing hard now. Blood dripped from his fingers. The predator stayed down. Not defeated, but no longer certain. For the first time, it did not rise immediately. Jonah returned to the center. Head bowed again. Silence followed. Not the silence of boredom. The silence of predators rethinking everything they knew. Because this human had not looked up once. Had not roared. Had not boasted. Had not begged. And yet, every predator in the arena had adjusted their stance. Because somewhere deep inside, they understood something terrifying. This human was not fighting to win. He was fighting because he refused to lose. And the worst was still coming. The arena felt smaller now. Jonah Hale stood in the center, shoulders rising and falling with deeper breaths than before. Pain had settled into his bones, no longer sharp but heavy and constant. His right arm trembled slightly when he relaxed it. His leg burned with every shift of weight. He welcomed it. Pain meant he was still alive. Above him, the predators were no longer restless. They watched without speaking. No laughter, no mocking calls, only quiet attention, the kind given to something dangerous. The massive predator Jonah had forced to one knee finally stood again. Slowly, carefully, it rolled its shoulder, testing it, eyes never leaving the human. "You should be broken," it said. "I am," Jonah replied calmly, "just not finished." That answer unsettled them more than anger ever could. The predator attacked again. This time, Jonah couldn't simply dodge. He felt it in his body before it happened. Fatigue had stolen a fraction of his speed. The blow clipped his side, sending him skidding across the stone. His breath left him in a harsh gasp. The crowd stirred. Jonah rolled onto his back and forced air into his lungs. The predator loomed over him, shadow falling across his face. "Stay down," it growled. "There's no shame in knowing when you're beaten." Jonah looked at the ground beside his face. Blood darkened the stone. "I learned something once," he said, voice rough but steady. "Beasts stop when you break, humans don't." He twisted and rolled as the predator struck again. The blow shattered stone where his head had been. Jonah scrambled to his feet, every muscle screaming in protest. The predator pressed harder now, relentless, heavy strikes forcing Jonah backward. Jonah blocked what he could, redirected what he couldn't, but each impact drained more strength from him. A punch caught his ribs. Something cracked. Jonah hissed but stayed upright. The predator paused. Just a moment. It expected Jonah to fall. That moment cost it everything. Jonah stepped inside the predator's reach, ignoring the pain, and struck upward with both hands. He hit the throat, then the jaw, then the base of the skull, not powerful blows, focused ones. The predator staggered, choking, surprised. Jonah shoved it away and stepped back, breathing hard. The predator did not fall again. Instead, it backed away. Slowly, the crowd murmured. Predators did not retreat. But this one did. Another gate opened. The sound was deeper, heavier. Jonah felt it in his chest. The arena master rose again, voice echoing through the pit. You have faced strength, you have faced skill, now you will face what ends most fights. The next challenger emerged. This one was different. Smaller than the others, lean, calm. Its eyes were sharp with intelligence, not hunger. Its movements were economical, balanced. A tactician. It studied Jonah without emotion. You're injured, it said, exhausted, slower than before. Jonah nodded slightly, yes. You can't win, it continued. Jonah remained silent. The tactician tilted its head. Why keep standing? Jonah answered softly, because sitting down means I don't stand back up. The signal horn sounded. The tactician did not rush. It circled Jonah, forcing him to turn, to move, to react. Jonah adjusted his stance, keeping his center low, conserving energy. He still didn't look up, only watched feet, shadows, movement. The tactician attacked with precision. A strike to Jonah's injured side, then another to his arm, controlled, measured. Jonah blocked late. Pain flared. He stumbled. The tactician pressed the advantage, chaining attacks together, never overcommitting, never leaving an opening. Jonah was being dismantled. The predators leaned forward. This was how it usually ended. Jonah's breathing grew rough, his vision blurred at the edges, his hands shook. He retreated step by step, until his heels struck the arena wall. Nowhere left to go. The tactician raised its weapon. Stay down, it said calmly. You've made your point. Jonah smiled faintly. No, he said, I haven't. He surged forward. Not fast. Not strong. But unexpected. The tactician hesitated, just long enough. Jonah grabbed its arm, ignoring the blade slicing his forearm, and pulled it close. He struck with his head, then his knee, then his elbow. The tactician reeled, shocked by the sudden violence. Jonah didn't give it time to recover. He shoved it hard into the wall. The tactician hit stone and slid down, stunned. Jonah collapsed to one knee. The arena was silent again. Blood dripped from his arm. His breathing was loud now, ragged. He pushed himself back to his feet. The tactician tried to rise, failed. Guards moved in. The fight was over. The arena master did not speak. For the first time, it looked uncertain. Jonah returned to the center of the arena. His head lowered again. His stance steady, despite everything. The predators no longer adjusted out of instinct. They did it on purpose now. Because they understood something at last. This human was not dangerous because he was strong. He was dangerous because he refused to stop. And whatever came next, whatever the arena still held, would have to break him completely. Or fail like all the others. The arena no longer felt like a place of entertainment. It felt like a trial. Jonah Hale stood alone at the center again, blood soaking into the stone beneath his boots. His breathing was uneven now, each inhale scraping against broken ribs. His arm hung stiff at his side, fingers numb where the blade had cut deep. He was past pain, past fear. There was only endurance left. Above him, the predators did not cheer. They did not mock. They watched in a silence so deep it pressed against the ears. Even the most savage among them understood now this was no longer sport. The arena master rose slowly. "You should not still be standing," it said, voice echoing. "Your body is failing." Jonah answered without lifting his head. "So is yours," he said quietly. "You just haven't noticed yet." A low murmur spread through the stands. The arena master's eyes narrowed. "You believe you are winning?" Jonah shook his head slightly. "No, I believe I'm still here." "That was worse." The master turned and raised a claw. "Then we end this." The final gates began to open. Not one, not two, three. A ripple of unease passed through the predators. This had never been done before, not for any challenger, not even for rebels or war beasts. 3 apex predators stepped into the light. They were not identical, but they moved together with terrifying coordination. One heavy and powerful, one fast and razor-sharp, one tall and calculating, eyes cold with experience. A kill pack, designed to overwhelm anything. Jonah felt his stomach tighten, not with fear but with understanding. This was it. No more tests, no more lessons. Only survival. The signal horn sounded. The pack moved as one. Jonah turned sideways, keeping them all in his peripheral vision, body low despite the pain screaming through him. He could not outrun them, could not overpower them. So he did the only thing left. He endured. The fast one struck first, darting in blade flashing. Jonah twisted away, but the blade cut his shoulder. He staggered, barely keeping his footing. The heavy one followed, slamming into him like a wall. Jonah hit the ground hard, air exploding from his lungs. The third did not rush. It waited. Jonah rolled just as a massive foot came down where his head had been. Stone shattered. Jonah crawled, forced his body to obey. "Get up! Get up!" He pushed himself to his feet again. The predators attacked in waves now. One distracted, one struck, one watched for weakness. Jonah blocked what he could, dodged what he couldn't, took blows that would have dropped any other human. Blood blurred his vision. His legs shook. But still he stood. The fast predator lunged again. Jonah stepped into it. He took the hit on his forearm and locked onto the predator's wrist. Pain flared white-hot. He ignored it. He twisted hard, using his whole body. The predator screamed as its joint snapped. Jonah shoved it away and barely had time to turn before the heavy one struck again. The blow sent him crashing into the wall. Something broke. Jonah slid down, coughing blood on his lips. The heavy predator raised its arm to finish it. The calculating one spoke calmly. "Wait." The heavy one hesitated. Jonah laughed softly. That hesitation, that was human territory. Jonah surged forward with what little strength he had left. He drove his shoulder into the heavy predator's knee. The joint buckled. The predator roared and fell. Jonah collapsed beside it, gasping. The fast predator tried to rise, broken arm dragging uselessly. The calculating one finally moved. It approached slowly. "You cannot win," it said evenly. "Your body is done." Jonah pushed himself to his knees. "I know," he said. "Then why?" the predator asked. "Why keep standing?" Jonah wiped blood from his mouth with shaking fingers. "Because," he said, voice rough but clear, "someone has to show you what it costs to stop us." The calculating predator studied him. Then it attacked. Jonah met it halfway. There was no grace left, no technique, only stubborn will. Jonah struck blindly, desperately, every movement tearing pain through his body. The predator was faster, stronger. It struck Jonah across the chest, sending him sprawling again. The crowd stirred. Jonah lay still. For a moment, just a moment, the predators thought it was over. Then Jonah moved. Slowly, painfully. He rolled onto his side, pushed to his knees, then to his feet. The calculating predator stopped. Its eyes widened slightly. "That should not be possible," it said. Jonah stood, swaying, blood dripping freely now. "Humans," he said quietly, "are bad at knowing when to quit." The predator attacked again. Jonah sidestepped barely. He grabbed the predator's arm and pulled it close, smashing his forehead into its face. Once, twice. The predator reeled. Jonah drove a knee upward. The predator fell. Silence exploded through the arena. Guards rushed in, weapons raised, unsure who they were protecting against. Jonah stood over the fallen predators, chest heaving, body trembling violently. He had nothing left. And still, he stood. The arena master rose slowly. Its voice was no longer commanding. It was careful. "This trial is concluded," it announced. No cheers followed. Only awe. Jonah lowered his head again. He never looked up. But every predator in the arena stepped back. Because they understood something now. This human had crossed the point of no return. He could be killed. Yes, but never controlled. Never broken. And the final reckoning was coming. Jonah Hale should have been dead. Everyone in the arena knew it. He stood at the center of the pit, swaying slightly, blood dripping from his hands and soaking into the cracked stone. His chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven breaths. One arm hung useless at his side. His leg trembled every time he shifted his weight. And still he stood. The three apex predators lay around him, one broken, one unconscious, one barely breathing. The silence was unbearable. Predators were creatures of dominance. They understood strength, speed, fear. They understood victory and death. What they did not understand was this human who refused to fall even when his body clearly had nothing left to give. The arena master remained standing, claws gripping the railing. Its eyes never left Jonah. "You have exceeded the trial," it said slowly. "No human has ever survived this stage." Jonah did not answer. He didn't need to. His breathing was loud now, harsh and broken, but steady enough. Every breath felt like glass in his lungs. His vision tunneled, edges darkening, but he forced himself to remain upright. If he sat down, he knew he would not get back up. The arena master raised a claw. "This ends now," it declared. "Remove him." The guards hesitated. That had never happened before. They were massive creatures, armored and armed, bred to enforce order in the pits. They had dragged out screaming prisoners and crushed rebels without pause. But now they hesitated. Because Jonah Hale did not look like a defeated creature. He looked like a warning. The arena master noticed. Its claws tightened. Now it commanded sharply. The guards advanced. Jonah sensed them more than he saw them. Heavy steps, shifting weight, weapons ready. He did not turn. He did not raise his hands. He simply spoke, quietly, hoarsely, but clear enough to carry. "I didn't come here to win," Jonah said. "I came here to show you something." The guards slowed. The arena master snarled, "Show us what?" Jonah swallowed, blood on his lips. "That you can break our bodies," he said. "You can cage us, kill us." He took a breath. "But you can't make us stop standing." The words hit harder than any blow. A ripple passed through the stands. Predators shifted again, but not in readiness this time. In uncertainty. The arena master stepped forward, descending into the pit for the first time. It was enormous up close. Ancient scars crossed its armor. Its eyes burned with fury and something else. "You think this changes anything?" it growled. "You are one human." Jonah finally lifted his head just a little. Not to meet its eyes. Just enough to speak clearly. "One human," he agreed, "who didn't give you what you wanted." The master halted a few steps away. "And what was that?" it demanded. Jonah's voice cracked slightly, but he did not stop. "Fear." The word echoed. The arena master recoiled as if struck. "You fear us," it spat. Jonah shook his head weakly. "No," he said. "You fear what happens when we stop fearing you." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the arena master laughed. A harsh, jagged sound. "You think you've won because you survived," it said. "This pit will stand long after you are dust." Jonah nodded. "Maybe," he said, "but now you'll remember this pit didn't break me." The arena master stared at him. Then slowly it lowered its claw. The guards froze. "This human leaves the arena," the master said. "Alive." A shockwave of sound erupted, hisses, growls, protests. The stands erupted in chaos. "This is not allowed. He killed champions. He humiliated us." The arena master turned, voice thunderous. "He endured," it roared, "and endurance is strength." Silence fell again. Jonah's knees finally buckled. He dropped to one knee, not in surrender but exhaustion. The guards moved forward again, but gently this time, carefully, almost respectfully. They lifted him. Jonah did not resist. As they carried him toward the exit tunnel, the predators parted. None stepped closer. None reached out. Jonah's head fell forward again, eyes on the ground even now. But the predators watched him go with something they had never felt for prey. Unease. Because this human had paid the price. And in doing so, he had taken something from them. Certainty. As the gates closed behind Jonah Hale, the arena remained silent. No cheers. No celebration. Only the lingering understanding that something fundamental had shifted. The pits would continue. The trials would go on. But from this moment forward, every predator who entered the arena would remember the human who never looked up. And yet force them all to adjust. Because the strongest thing in the arena that day had not been muscle or claws. It had been refusal. And the reckoning was not finished yet. Jonah Hale woke to silence. Not the heavy silence of the arena, thick with eyes and hunger, but a softer one, the kind that hummed faintly with machines and distant movement. Cold metal pressed against his back. A low light glowed above him, dim enough not to hurt his eyes. For a moment he thought he was dead. Then pain reminded him otherwise. It rolled through him in slow waves. His ribs burned. His arm felt wrapped in fire. Every breath pulled at something broken inside his chest. He hissed quietly and forced himself to breathe slower. He was alive. That realization brought no relief, only confusion. Humans did not leave the pit alive. Jonah turned his head slightly. Bands of pale energy wrapped around his wrists and ankles, pinning him to the table. Medical restraints, but not human ones. Machines hovered around him, clicking softly, scanning, repairing, sealing wounds he knew should have killed him. He closed his eyes. So this was how they fixed broken tools. A shadow moved at the edge of the room. Jonah opened his eyes again. The arena master stood there. Without armor. Up close it was even larger than he remembered. Old scars traced its thick hide. Its eyes were calm now, not burning with dominance but sharp with thought. "You should not be alive," it said evenly. Jonah swallowed. "You've mentioned." The arena master studied him in silence, long enough that Jonah wondered if it was waiting for him to beg. "He didn't." "You did not scream," the master said. "You did not plead, even when death was certain." Jonah stared at the ceiling, didn't see the point. The master tilted its head. "Every creature fears death." Jonah's lips twitched faintly. "Yeah, we do too." "Then why," the master pressed, "why stand?" Jonah breathed through the pain before answering. "Because someone had to," he said quietly. "Because if I didn't, then you were right about us." The master was silent again. "You understand," it said slowly, "that we cannot allow you to leave freely." Jonah nodded, figured. "You have disrupted order," the master continued. "The pits are built on certainty, on fear. You introduced doubt." Jonah closed his eyes. "Sorry." The master watched him carefully. That sounded sincere. Jonah let out a quiet breath that might have been a laugh. "It's not." The master's gaze sharpened. "You are not defiant," it said. "You are immovable." Jonah said nothing. The restraints tightened slightly, responding to his increased heart rate. The master noticed. "Do you know what happens to things that cannot be controlled?" it asked. Jonah answered without hesitation. "You try to bury them." The master's eyes narrowed, "And yet you still stand." Jonah opened his eyes and looked, not at the master's face, but just past it. "I've been buried before." That gave the master pause. Days passed. Or maybe hours. Jonah lost track of time. They healed him just enough to keep him alive, never enough to make him strong. Guards rotated constantly. Scientists watched from behind glass, whispering, pointing, recording data from his body. They tested him. Pain tolerance, muscle recovery, neural response. He endured it all in silence. And something strange happened. The guards stopped mocking him. Then they stopped talking around him altogether. They watched him with the same careful distance predators used near unstable ground. Because Jonah never begged. Never raged. Never broke. One day, the arena master returned. "You are changing things," it said. Jonah's voice was weak but steady. "That tends to happen when you don't die." "Predators are questioning the pits," the master continued. "Some refuse to enter them." Jonah frowned faintly. "Didn't mean to ruin your business model." The master ignored that. "Others are studying humans, not as prey." Jonah opened his eyes fully now. "That's new." "Yes," the master admitted, "and dangerous." "For you," Jonah said. The master stared at him. "You think this makes your species safe?" Jonah took a breath. "No, but it makes you careful." Silence stretched. Then the master spoke again, voice lower. "There are forces beyond this arena," it said. "Empires, coalitions, they will not tolerate uncertainty." Jonah swallowed. "Then they should have thought about that before throwing us into pits." The master leaned closer. "They will come for you," it said. "You will be made an example." Jonah's heart beat harder, but his voice did not change. "Then I guess," he said, "they'll have to stand where I stood." The master straightened. "You are not afraid." Jonah shook his head slowly. "I'm tired." That answer landed harder than fear. The master turned away. "You will be moved," it said. "Isolated, contained." Jonah stared at the ceiling again. "That never really works." The master paused at the door. "No," it admitted, "it doesn't." As the door sealed shut, Jonah closed his eyes. His body ached. His future was uncertain. But somewhere beyond this room, predators were thinking differently. Standing differently. Fighting differently. And Jonah Hale, broken, restrained, exhausted, smiled faintly. Because they had learned the worst lesson of all. Humans did not need to be free to resist. They only needed to stand once. And the next part, the part where others followed, was already beginning. The alarms did not scream. They hummed. Low, controlled. The kind of sound meant for trained minds, not panicked ones. Jonah Hale heard it through the fog of sleep and pain, felt it more than he understood it. The restraints around his wrists loosened by a fraction, then steadied again. Machines clicked, recalibrating. Something had changed. Jonah opened his eyes. The ceiling lights were brighter now, not harsh, alert. Footsteps passed outside the room, not the heavy, confident stride of guards, but quick, measured movement, purpose without certainty. He breathed slowly and waited. The door slid open. The arena master entered again, alone. It did not speak at first. It stood there tall and still, studying Jonah as if seeing him for the first time. The scars on its hide caught the light. Its eyes were steady, but not calm. "You were right," it said at last. Jonah's throat was dry, he swallowed. "That's not something you say lightly." "No," the master replied, "and I would rather not say it at all." Jonah waited. "There has been an incident," the master continued. "In a different pit, another human." Jonah's chest tightened. "What happened?" The master did not look away. They stood. Jonah closed his eyes. Not in relief. In understanding. "They didn't win," the master added quickly. "They were smaller than you, less trained, less prepared." Jonah nodded faintly, but they stood. "Yes." Silence filled the room again, heavy and slow. "It took 6 predators to bring them down," the master said, "and when they fell, they laughed." Jonah breathed out a shaky sound that might have been a laugh himself. "Yeah," he said softly, "that sounds right." The master's claws flexed. "This is spreading." Jonah opened his eyes. "You threw us into pits," he said. "You taught us the rules." "We taught you fear," the master snapped. Jonah shook his head. You taught us pain. That landed. The master turned away, packing once. The coalition has taken notice, it said. They are watching this place. Good, Jonah said. They want you transferred, the master continued. Paraded, studied, used as a warning. Jonah's jaw tightened. Figures. They believe killing you publicly will end this. Jonah was quiet for a moment. Then it won't. The master stopped packing. Why are you so certain? It demanded. Jonah stared at the ceiling, at the soft light humming above him. Because it already started without me. The master followed his gaze. You think you matter that much? Jonah turned his head slightly, just enough to look, not up but forward. I don't matter, he said. That's the point. The master said nothing. Jonah continued, voice steady despite the pain. I wasn't the strongest human. I wasn't the bravest. I just happened to be the one who stood long enough for you to notice. The master's eyes darkened. Now, Jonah went on, you've shown the rest of them something. What? The master asked. Jonah answered simply, that standing is allowed. The room was quiet. Then the master did something no predator ruler had done in recorded history. It lowered its head. Not in submission. In acknowledgement. You will be moved, it said, but not as they wish. Jonah frowned faintly. That sounds like trouble. Yes, the master agreed, for all of us. The transfer did not happen with chains and spectacle. It happened quietly. Jonah was moved through back corridors, away from the pits, away from the stands. Guards escorted him, not with weapons raised, but with distance. Respectful distance. The station beyond the arena felt different, less brutal, less certain. Predators passed him and slowed, some stopped, some turned away. All of them watched. Jonah never looked up. They didn't need him to. At the docking bay, a small transport waited, plane, unmarked. The arena master stood beside it. You will be taken beyond coalition space, it said, where your presence cannot be used as a weapon against you. Jonah leaned heavily against the ramp, exhausted. And you? The master was silent for a long moment. We will endure the consequences, it said finally. Jonah nodded. Good luck with that. The master's gaze sharpened. You should know something human. Jonah paused. The predators are changing how they stand, the master said. How they fight, how they think. Jonah allowed himself a tired smile. Yeah, he said, we do that. The ramp closed. The engines hummed to life. As the ship lifted away, Jonah rested his head back against the seat and closed his eyes. His body was broken, his future uncertain. He had no weapons, no allies he could see. But somewhere, far beyond this ship, beyond this station, humans were standing differently. Predators were standing differently. The pits would never be the same. Not because Jonah Hale had defeated them, but because he had shown them the cost of trying to break something that refused to stop being what it was. He had never looked up. He had never roared. He had never claimed victory. And yet, every predator adjusted their stance around him. Because the weight he left behind could not be lifted. It could only be remembered. And once remembered, it could never be undone.